Hold on.
Please, God, dude.
I'm signed out, so I can't even F that up.
Let's see. I want to see what we look like on YouTube. Let's
I'm
see.
beautiful. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Hey, we're good. We're good, man. I want to make sure
Glad.
I'm all right. You can't. Can you see my Christmas tree off to the side? No. Oh, in this format, you probably can't.
No, because it cuts it.
I got you. Okay, so guys, welcome to the Garden Party podcast. Real quick, we don't get a lot of viewers yet for the podcast, but someone did comment last week and said, "Hey, where's the theme song?" And I forgot to add it. I forgot to add it in. Oh, I forgot to put noise cancellation on. Phil, dadgummit. Okay, you'll be good. But I'm gonna make up for it by performing the theme song live on the stream right now.
What?
So here we go. Here we go. Are you ready? Ready? This is the garden. Okay, I can't hear. I'm out of key with my headphones on. This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We'll talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. It's the holiday season, though. The garden party. All right. Real quick, guys.
Epic.
This is. Oh, thanks, man. I only rehearsed it for about 30 minutes before we started, because I literally have not played it since I recorded it. And it's 2 chords, so it's pretty easy. But this is the Garden Party podcast. I always mess that up. I am Destin Nowak, the Texas garden guy, and to my right, see on the YouTube, we got to the left is Vikram. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Vikram.
Hello, I'm Vikram Baliga. I am the plant prof all the places. I'm a horticulture professor, and I am wearing my very loudest Christmas suit coat, which is at this point about a size. I think I could bust out of the back of this if I really tried.
Oh my God, that's hilarious! Now I wish I had a blazer like that. It's very, very fancy, brother.
I believe it or not, I have 3 of them because I'm that guy.
Oh wow. That's hilarious. Epic. Oh, and Vikram is the first guy to drop out with Wi-Fi. Come on, man. You're a professor.
What?
You should be having. You've lost your video there for a second. We'll go ahead and introduce. We'll go ahead and introduce Phil while you're blank screening us right now. I think you're still good on YouTube though. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Phil. You can see him.
What up, everybody?
Maybe it's just me.
What up, everybody? It's Phil from Phil's Figs. All the social medias. It's Phil's Figs and philsfigs.com. The Fig Daddy, the plant nursery up in North Carolina, exclusive to figs.
Dude, you're embracing the Fig Daddy thing now, and I love it.
Oh yeah, dude! I had that mug that says the Plant Daddy, and I hold on to that thing forever. Thanks, Target.
And you are a daddy, so I mean,
and I'm a dad times 3.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I want to say thank you real quick because I got your awesome package of fig trees and fig propagation material in this week. And dude, your propagations are pretty big. When I do propagations, they're usually like that big because I want to do a bunch of them. You send like a 12-inch piece, man. These things are huge. And so
on occasion, why not? You could totally split them up too. But I just want to hedge everybody so they have good cuttings. And if I count 3 nodes, I'll try to throw in a 4th if I can,
Oh, dude, it was awesome. Thank you so much. The packages, I'm going to ask you about a couple of varieties later on because there was one in particular, the Godfather, that I think you were saying there's a story behind that one. So,
there's an awesome story behind it.
I will ask you about that here in a little bit. But tonight is going to be the first night that we actually have a topic for the garden party. And I decided, well, we're plant people. It's the holiday season. We got our sweaters on. Why not talk about Christmas trees? Why not talk about how Christmas trees came to be and why they're so cool? We'll start off by when was the last time y'all bought a live Christmas tree?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Phil?
Now, I buy a Christmas tree every year that's live.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up in Pennsylvania where we went out. Oh, fresh cut. So not a live tree, no. Is that what you mean by like in the pot with dirt? I have not bought one before, no.
Oh, no. Like, I mean, like you bought out
a fresh cut.
One.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, fresh cut. Like up in Pennsylvania, we used to go out and chop them down. That was a holiday thing we did every year in the snow and everything. So
I can just see Phil out
Now.
there with his dad, like Clark Griswold out there in the
Yeah.
forest.
A little more efficient. Pretty
Yeah.
good at it, let me tell you. But we'll go out there and you have to my dad's all about you gotta feel the tree and you gotta lay it out. This old Italian guy's like, it's gotta be just right. And he'll go out and search all angles of the tree, and finally we've decided on this monumentous tree to bring back. But yeah.
That's fantastic. No, there's a lot of people who are moving towards like the artificials because they're easy to, store up every year. This is the first year I actually bought myself I think this is a Vancouver spruce. I think.
Okay.
And it's a little one and it's in a pot. Come to find out, this tree will never survive the Texas summer ever in a million years. I spoke to my bonsai friend and I was like, can I just turn it into a bonsai? And he goes, dude, it'll never survive the Texas summer in a million years. But I do know people that end up buying those, they call them Norfolk pines, even though they're not actually pines. They're not frost tolerant at all. But they'll, bring those inside and have them growing year round because they don't get, I guess you can prune them and keep them a certain size, but they are not frost tolerant whatsoever. So that's a good option. But I just have a small house, so a tree would be like a nightmare. My dog, would just be knocking stuff out. But so we used to do this thing on my old podcast where I would throw some trivia questions at my buddies. And so since we got a Christmas tree topic tonight, I wanted to maybe ask y'all some trivia questions about Christmas trees. So here is the first question. And I'm gonna since you're a professor, Vikram, I'm gonna make you answer second. Phil.
Oh no! All right.
I know y'all are both rocket scientists, but I mean Phil is not a plant scientist. So let's let Phil answer this.
I do soil and dirt, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
But
you won't get these. You're not gonna get these. Don't worry. Okay. All right. So. All right. So
shots fired.
The first question is, on average, how many Christmas trees are sold in the U.S. every year? Just give me a guess, a range.
8 million.
8 million? What you got, Vikram?
I'm gonna say I'm taking the way over. I'm gonna say 40 million.
So Vikram is a little bit closer, but it's 25 on average, 25 to 30 million Christmas trees.
Wow.
Yeah, but if his price is right, he went over. So I think
that's true.
That's true.
That's
okay.
true.
Right. So Phil gets the point. Phil gets the point. All right. So
formality.
No, Vikram was closer. I'm not Bob Barker. You get closest number of wins. All right.
Good job, Vikram. You got it, man.
Thanks.
So
do my best.
So out of all the states, which state in the U.S. produces the most Christmas trees? This one kind of surprised me.
Oh my gosh. It's a toss-up between my birth state of Pennsylvania, but also my home state of North Carolina. So I'm just going to go with North Carolina because I heard a close statistic, but North Carolina.
Okay, what you got, Vikram?
Oh, that's hard. This is wrong.
It's a 2% chance you're going to get it. There's only 50 states.
2% chance. Yeah, that's true. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Don't trust me on math.
I'm gonna make a bad guess, and I'm gonna say Georgia.
Georgia. Okay.
I don't know. They have a lot of forestry there. I don't know.
They definitely do. But the one that surprised me, it's Oregon. So all 50. So there's thousands of Christmas tree orchards in the United States, but Oregon actually produces 4 million trees every year.
Wow,
4 million trees.
That's a big stat.
Yeah, well, they said even Hawaii and Alaska have Christmas tree farms. So I thought that was a pretty cool stat.
Really, that's really interesting. I probably depends on the species, and then
I think it's the firs. It's the Oregon
firs.
produces the firs. You're probably going to get more tropical-ish trees. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of dumb. All right, next question. On average, how many years does it take to grow a 6 to 7 foot Christmas tree?
Oh my gosh. I know I took a gender, so I'm trying to think like tree rings, and
I thought you
that
said
was only 15 years ago.
I thought you said gender chronology. I was like, what is that?
Oh no, dendrochronology. So like doing like borings to see the age of trees through their tree
Oh,
rings. But
that makes sense.
so you have this like hand drill and you go in. It was for our climatology class back in that was 2000. Gosh,
God,
I'm
you're
dating
old, dude.
myself. But I'm gonna go with a 6 to 7 foot tree. Would they grow a foot a year? Let's go with 7 years.
Okay, what you got, Vikram?
I'm going to say 5 years. I'm taking the under on that one.
So Phil was close. I mean, it's 6. They grow about a foot a year on average. Most Christmas trees varieties grow about a foot a year. It was really cool. The stats they were talking about. It said on average on 1 acre at a Christmas tree farm, they will plant about 2,000 trees. And
Wow.
in more northern states they have about a 90%, 80% success rate, and then like lower states have like closer to like a 65% success rate. But the actual Christmas tree farm like establishment is a really cool thing because you think about it, they don't really have to spray a lot of pesticides. They don't really have to do too much to the land. So the farms actually act as like a wildlife sanctuary almost while they're growing the trees. And then it's actually a sustainable industry because they replant seedlings every year when they cut them down. So I mean, it's kind of a cool little deal. I believe Taylor Swift grew up on a Christmas tree farm. All the
Okay.
Swifties out there, y'all can fact check me on that.
All the
But
Swifties.
I think
They
that's
probably already know. I bet they know. They've got
yeah,
to know,
I
right?
think that was in Pennsylvania.
yeah. It's in Pennsylvania. I think she grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania. I would have guessed Pennsylvania for the Christmas tree. Like which state produces
Yeah.
the most? One more question. This one's a funny one. So, as y'all know, they do. We had our guest on last week, and they decorate the White House with Christmas trees and all the ornaments and everything. Which president brought the first Christmas tree into the White House?
Oh wow.
And I didn't
Someone like
write the year down.
Well, that would have been helpful. I
Yeah,
mean,
I can.
really helpful for me at least, but would that be too much of a giveaway? I
Yeah.
immediately went to like Roosevelt because he was just like such like
Which one?
an outdoorsman. Teddy,
Which one? Okay. All right. What you got, Vikram?
but I feel like it's way earlier.
I feel like it's earlier, and I'm trying to think of like I don't know very many presidents. That's probably sad, right? I should know more presidents than plants. Although there haven't been that many of them. I'm just gonna go with Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Okay. So it was actually Franklin Pierce, and I actually have some funny facts. So I was like, I don't know anything about Franklin Pierce, right? Here's some fun facts about Franklin Pierce, some of his other accomplishments while he was in office. So,
I've been wanting those.
yeah.
I'm excited.
So, Franklin Pierce was born in New Hampshire in 1804. He was a brigadier general in the Mexican American Army. He was an alcoholic.
Mhm.
He was
Okay,
he was pro slavery. He opposed secession during the Civil War, but then sympathized with his former Secretary of War, Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. So other than putting Christmas trees in the White House, he was a pretty big asshole, was what it sounds like.
Yeah, I was saying,
not
did he
great.
go 2 terms or did he like?
I don't. Actually, they said that he retired after 1 term to take care of his mentally ill wife. So
Okay.
Franklin Pierce, yeah, he is the reason we have New Mexico, though. I guess
Yeah.
who cares,
Eh.
right?
To be fair, I don't know a lot
see-
about New Mexico. You guys are way closer, but
Well, that's how.
See, I live up in the Texas Panhandle, and like I'm 80 miles from New Mexico, so I'm like, yeah, Eastern New Mexico is a lot like Mars. Up until you get in the mountains,
Yeah.
and like I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to go rescue Matt Damon from there sometime. Just lost, by himself in Eastern New Mexico.
Every time someone says Matt Damon, I instantly go to Team America World Police and I just
Matt
go,
Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Oh my God. You want to hear a funny, I'll tell you a funny story.
But you know what? No, now that you mention that though, we could totally just grow potatoes with some good compost out in New Mexico with Matt
absolutely.
Damon.
There you go.
That's where
Yeah.
that's where the aliens are at, man. They're in New Mexico. That's where Area 51 is. Matt Damon. Okay, so y'all know who Jesse Plemons is? The actor. He's married to Kristen Dunst. Me and my wife were
Yes.
watching Fargo, and they play a husband and wife on the show. And we were watching it for like 3 or 4 episodes, and she goes, "Man, Matt Damon really gained some weight." And I was like, Ashley, I go, Ashley, that is not Matt Damon. I go, that is Jesse Plemons. And she goes, no, it's not.
Oh my
And that's
God.
his wife, Kirsten Dunst. She goes, no, and I had to look it up to prove her wrong. But I was just like, I did a whole video. I was like, that is not Matt Damon. So,
And every time you said Matt Damon, you had to
if you
say
look it
like,
up, it is. If you look him
Team
up,
America.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Like I can see it.
yes. I mean, they could be.
But I'm not
related.
going to say it's.
It's definitely not Matt Damon.
No, but
No. My wife does not have a great like recollection of like what people look like. We'll see somebody and she'll be like, "Oh, he looks just like him." And I'll be like, "Who?" And she pulls up the phone and I'm like, "No, that does not look anything like." That's just it's a constant struggle, dude. It's hilarious. So it's a Christmas episode, and I asked my boys to put on their Christmas attire. So we'll start with Phil. Show off your sweater, dude. Let's see what you got.
You look at this. As a geologist, it means I love
It's rad.
paleontology. Look at this thing. You tell me if it's a dromaeosaur, which is like the velociraptors, or you tell me if it's a T-Rex. But I think we're going with Deinonychus, who's the big velociraptor.
Is that
that's my vote. Yeah.
Deinonychus? Deinonychus. Yeah, it looks
So,
like
funny story,
Looks like,
tangential
looks
flight.
like Reptar from Rugrats.
Actually, it's Reptar. He just needs like the little spike things off the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my hairline's starting to match Tommy Pickles, so we're going with it.
You will be a very handsome bald man, though. It's okay. You got all the other good genetics, so I don't want to hear about your hair. You'll be fine.
I'm going with the Bruce. Yeah, I'm Bruce Willising. Like I'm just like, aging gracefully with it.
You're, you're Stathaming. You might have that just thing there forever. You might not totally go bald.
I'm holding on for dear life. I had a good run.
Oh my goodness, Vikram, let's see the drip, dude. Let's see the drip.
So I couldn't find a sweater, but I've got this really ugly, very loud.
Thing's awesome.
That is very college professor of you.
You know what's funny is there's a tie that goes with it, but I couldn't find it.
My God.
It's yeah.
It says I'm here to
from
party.
space.
It says I'm here to party, but I also am going to lecture you.
Yeah.
You just need the elbow pads on your the
Yeah.
You need the elbow.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
I'll see if Alana can sew those on. I'll ask.
that'd be
Get
sick.
some leather elbow pads. Wear this to my first lecture in the fall or in the spring, and just be like, no, it won't make any sense.
You were talking about ties. I'm of the Joe Rogan mindset that wearing a tie is just inviting someone to choke you to death with it. You know, I never want to wear a tie ever if I have a choice.
I wouldn't wear it in the octagon, but I might wear it.
Yeah, no,
in a
probably
formal
not.
event.
I think you maybe overestimate how many people want to choke you versus how many people want to choke Joe Rogan.
That's
Like
true.
there may be a
It's close. It's very close. But I'm definitely a close second. I would guess I'm a close second.
I wear bow ties. Like there's nothing to grab there.
Yeah, you and Farmer Frober.
And that's very
both are-
professor.
Yes, look
Very
like
distinguished.
like a young Tucker Carlson. You know, like a.
How dare you?
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, dude, I had been telling everybody to in the description down below to pre-order your book, and I didn't know it was actually for sale already. So it was for sale in July.
It came out in July.
So I definitely ordered it, and I posted it on my stories and stuff, and I was like, oh, it's actually like 30% off right now on Amazon. So
Good deal. Yeah.
definitely. There's a link in the description to go get Vikram's book. So go get that. What is it? What is it? Plants are
Plants to the Rescue.
Plants to the Rescue. And I read some of the blurbs, and I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very
I think
interesting.
you'll like it. It's fun. It's fun, and I'm working. It's funny. I was having a conversation about that today with someone else, and well, they were like, "When's the next book coming out?" I'm like, "Well, when someone wants to buy the next book, I don't know. Like, we're working on that."
Yeah. You don't have the 3-book deal yet, where you do the
Not
whole
yet.
trilogy?
Not yet. We'll get there.
Oh
We'll
my
get there.
goodness. No,
Soon enough.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to read it.
I'm excited. Yeah, man. And it's like, I'm getting it for like my nieces and nephews, and getting it for our household. So everyone can just have it and chat about it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, and my wife's a teacher, and so she's always looking for books to read to the kids. Her kids might be a little young. She teaches 3rd grade. So they might be a little bit, it's 8 to 12, right?
Yeah, they're probably right on that line. I think they're probably on the younger end, but
Yeah.
it's one that I think like we didn't, and my editor and I went kind of back and forth a little bit on it and decided that we didn't want to like shy away from using scientific terms. So like we use like like scientific terminology in it, and there's a glossary in the back, but like it's something interesting having my son's almost 8, and I'm always shocked at how much they know, like how much more they know than you give them credit for. So like
Right.
I'll say a word to him and he's like, "Oh yeah, this means that." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Great. So you're smarter than me. Like I get that."
And it's like giving your kids an opportunity to rise to the occasion. And like that speaks to me, especially in my garden, even when my kids, like when I'm not paying attention, and they have figured out a ripe fig without me not necessarily telling them, or maybe they it wasn't enough for me to recollect, and then go, my daughter's like, "This isn't ripe yet." I'm like, "You're only 4 and you're exactly right." Or she'll pick the ripe ones, because I had the opposite when they were 2, and they're just out there picking all the figs, getting sap everywhere. But children are, as I watched our kids develop and grow, giving them chances to rise to the occasion of learning things and take it on, it's a beautiful thing to see.
It's exciting and it's fun. Like, so Bradley will come out sometimes, and he's gotten to be a big reader. So like to the point where like we'll kind of go in his room or hear him, and it'll be 10 o'clock, and he's still like reading. We're like, you have to go to sleep. You have to go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
The book's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but he learns so much from that. Like it's that's one of those things I don't ever want to discourage. Like we want him to. I would rather him stay up reading than doing most other things.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Well, and I used to read a lot when I was a kid, and I kind of fell out of it. But here in the last couple of years, I kind of started reading a lot more. So it's going to sound so dumb, but when I got back into it because the show The Terminal List came on Amazon Prime, and I had seen the author do an interview on the Joe Rogan podcast, and so I was like, "Oh, it's a book," and I had noticed that a lot of books don't always stay true to like when they get put on television. So I wanted to see like, is this accurate to the book, or did they change a bunch of things? And yeah, they did because they had to. They couldn't put it on television. But I started reading the books, and now I'm like 6 books in like less than a year and a half. And then another show called Reacher came on Amazon, and Lee Child has like 28 books of like the Jack Reacher saga, and I'm on like book number 7 of that. I'm never going to catch up to that ever. But then I get into
That's
books. Cool. I find cool books. Amazon always recommends really nice books. They know what kind of books you buy, and so they have like an algorithm. They push certain books to you, But that fake book I sent you, Phil, that one is a really good read, and it's not a super long book. So you could read it in like a week. But what I do, I eat my lunch a little bit early in my office, and then I read for an entire hour every single day. So I read for one whole hour every single, well, 4 days a week when I'm at work. And I feel like I don't know if it makes me smarter, but I feel smarter. I don't know.
I would say it helps with your aptitude as far as reading comprehension, I'm sure. And then it's just like practice, like anything, like propagating plant see and practice over time, and you get better, and you go a little faster. And I would love to take that on, at least during my lunch hours. a lot of my reading comes in the evenings. And my next door neighbor did this, and I started doing this where I have 2 books. Book, and then I have one that is an enjoyable book where you just can like take your mind away from it. And I'm actually in my bedroom. You guys want to see the learning book?
Yeah.
While he's doing that, I'm going to show y'all my ugly sweater because I did not show y'all.
Oh yeah, we need to see that.
So this is a Walmart special. It's it's like the Be Cool, the Thug Life Santa Claus with the red solo cup, but the pocket opens so you can actually.
Oh my gosh!
You can actually put your beer in that pocket or whatever other kind of paraphernalia you have.
How is this not a more popular sweater? Like this I need this in my life, man.
I saw
that's like the holiday party sweater of all time.
It is like wearing like a this is what a sheet feels like. Like it is so hot in Texas. It's like 50 degrees right now, and I'm so hot.
It's cold and wet here.
Oh man, it's cold outside, but it's like hot. My wife's been making chocolate turtles, and so like she's had the oven on, and then she's feeding me like chocolate and pecans and caramel, and so like it's just like hot, So I'm not complaining, but I am sweating. So yes,
if the pocket was like a koozie, like if it was like insulated, I mean that's the move.
I agree.
That's a game changer.
Or if it was like a camelback, like a shirt with a built-in camelback and like a tube, Show us your book, Phil. What you got?
You guys ready? Boom. Oh no, it's backwards. Year-round solar greenhouse. So I'm learning how to passively heat my greenhouse in the most economical way.
Nice.
And it's kind of like and attempt things so it starts out with rain barrels, hot air, circulation, 4 chambers of a greenhouse, and how you can actually take advantage of the different growing zones just within a greenhouse.
Oh, nice.
I want to show that to everybody. Like you can always learn, and I'm always improving. Like I see all these rooms for growth in the greenhouse, no pun intended. And this has.
Did you get it on Amazon?
I did get it on Amazon. It was made by Lindsay Schiller with Mark Plank.
Send me a link. Send me a link because I like that.
I'll send you a link to that afterwards.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a couple like that, like propagating plants. It's like 1,500 plants and how to propagate them. Like
that's cool.
Yeah, and then like organic gardening and all that good stuff. And I got a couple reference books as well, like gardening in the South, stuff like that. It's nice to have like older people's like diaries almost of like how they survived gardening in the South, like back in the 80s and 90s and stuff. I learned from the elders, I really like that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Destin, you know what you should do is put together a garden party podcast reading list and like get a couple of recommendations from every guest you have on.
Yeah.
And just like build a list of all the books that like all your garden friends are reading.
I actually do have a reading list on my beacons that's got like the books that I talk about, but that's a good idea because I should recommend, especially because we might have some authors coming on soon. We might have some more authors.
More authors.
Like Phil needs to write a book. I tell you, he sent me those fig propagations and it came with like a guide on how to propagate figs. And dude, it was like, I was like, oh, this nerd spent so much time on this.
Newsflash, I am a nerd. I am a scientist.
I know, bro. I know. I pulled it out and I was like, dude, he sent me a fig propagation guide. I was like,
it was to promote. I don't know if you read the note on the back, but I was like, Dustin, you already know how to do this. But I want your feedback.
No, I made sure to. So my wife went and checked the mail yesterday, and she goes, "Hey," and I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I just checked the mail, and all those fig cuttings were stuck in my little mailbox." And she's like, "You got like a bunch of fig cuttings in the mail," and I was like, "Oh crap!" And I was on my way home. I was like, "Well, I know what I'm doing tonight." And I was like, well, I need to make some content. I was like, let's go live on Facebook because I can't go live on Instagram for like 30 more days. So I was like, boom, let's go. And I unboxed your packages and everything. And I was like, hey, Phil is so smart and sweet that he, put the guideline book in here, tells you step by step how to do it. I was like, he even wraps the ends. He doesn't mark which way is up, but he. Just kidding. I explained to people how to know which one is the up.
That was a great explanation too. I'm
Yeah.
paying attention to where the buds are off the nodes and which.
Yep.
And just for everyone out there listening, I have planted more than one cutting upside down, and it grows in
Me
a
too.
really bizarre way.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does weird stuff. And what's funny is sometimes they'll still do it. Like,
Yeah.
Not every plant, but some plants you can plant them in any direction.
Right.
You get some weird stuff, but plants are resilient. They'll do a lot of cool stuff.
I've been seeing a lot of TikTok videos, and not just TikTok, but people like the fig hunter will actually take like a tote and fill it with like play sand and just stick his
I've
cuttings
seen that too. Yeah.
into the sand. And I guess the draining is really good, and they come up. I just once you find a method that you like, you kind of just stick with it. I'll do different methods. I'll try air layering. Never really works out for me. The ball typically dries up too fast. I've done other methods and done like I used to do the full strip, and now because of you, I just do the one strip, and it didn't make a difference whatsoever. So I'm just doing the one strip now, like you taught me.
Yeah, I mean, it saves you a little bit of time, and then, I mean, my biggest thing is like the more you cut into your fig cutting, the more you're opening it up to infection of any sorts, unless you're all good about equipment, and that's what I've learned through experience.
Of course I am.
But
so sterile.
Yeah, I've heard the play sand because it's relatively inert because you don't have a lot of organic matter. You can't invite stuff in because it's usually what geologists call quartz arenite, which means it's 90% more of quartz.
Freaking nerd, man. I love you, Phil.
You love me, man. All right. But yes, that's why it's probably easy to propagate, and it's porous. It's pretty coarse material. So you can, my thing is like, you'll still have to transplant it afterwards, and how much shock and stress are you going to give to your cuttings? Some don't care. My Celeste fit, if you have a Celeste cutting thing, is a beast, right? But I have some that are just the biggest divas, and if I shake them the wrong way, they die on me, and I'm like, come on, you're my fifth one of like Esquio Black, so all in big time in progress.
I'm excited to see those new figs. I had a yellow long neck, and I left a lot of my propagations out, like young propagations, and most of them survived the freeze, but my yellow long neck and my dados did not. And so, but I'm excited
those are just
to get those.
Huge figs. Even if they're not caprified, you're still hitting 100 grams.
Well, and me and the fig hunter were kind of talking about it. You think like a big fig is going to be the best fig, and it's not always the case. Sometimes the smaller ones are a little more flavorful, but you're definitely going to get more meat with that yellow long neck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super sweet. It got that nice banana texture to it.
Yeah, I think most of them, anytime they're yellow, they taste like banana and honey to me. There's not like there's berry, most of them are like honey and banana. I get a lot of, it's a texture thing too. It's a very banana texture. Vikram, do you do a lot of like propagation? Like we've talked about you being a professor and that you run the you run the Texas Tech greenhouse.
One of them, yeah.
Oh, we're gonna make a trip. We're gonna make a trip. But
do it.
How much hands-on like stuff in the garden are you doing besides your classes?
Less than I used to. I'm busier these days. But I work with I've got a staff of, it varies. Usually 3 to 5 student assistants. We've got, another professor that works out there with me that has a few. And we're constantly propagating and repotting and working out in the garden. And so in fact, we've got we haven't really talked about this, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't talked about what you do.
So we have, it's mainly a teaching facility, right? So the garden and the greenhouse both are primarily teaching. We do research and we do stuff like that, but I run like 600 students through my greenhouse a week during the semester. Like we stay busy.
Wow.
And
what's the square footage of your greenhouse?
So I have 7 compartments, 8, but another group uses one of them, and they're 2,100 square feet each. So I've got almost 16,000 square foot, 15,000 square foot of greenhouse space. Plus we've got 4 classrooms and some lab, or attached.
Wow.
And so we teach labs out there. I teach a variety of labs. We use 3 of my compartments, so about 6,000 square feet for teaching and propagation and stuff like that. So we have one greenhouse that's just a prop house. And we have 3.5 acres of horticultural garden around the greenhouse that I also oversee.
Wow.
And so the past 2 or 3 years, we made the decision that like we buy plants, we have trial beds and trial programs, and we work with 2 or 3 different horticulture companies to do plant trials. But we also take cuttings from the garden a lot on some of our more standard material to replant the garden, and we have plant sales as fundraisers and stuff like that. So
that's what I was going to ask. What are y'all doing with all the propagations and stuff? Yeah.
So probably half of it, and we propagate all year. Like we go all year. That greenhouse is always full.
That's awesome.
That 2,000 square foot greenhouse is always full. So probably half of it goes back.
Cuttings, dude. Send us some cuttings.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, we do a lot. I'll do a video in there. Maybe tomorrow if I've got some time. But so probably half of what we grow goes back in the garden. And then the other half goes in plant sales, or we use them for classes or do different things. So I do herbaceous, woodies, succulents, cacti, kind of whatever. We propagate a little bit of everything.
Do y'all supply for the landscaping around the university as well?
In the past, before I started there, actually, we would grow out lantana and some other stuff for the university. It just wasn't necessarily cost effective. It would use 2 or 3 greenhouse compartments. We have a big campus. It's I think second to the Air Force Academy with all their runways. We're the second largest geographical campus in the United States. So it's a big campus.
whoa.
And so it's a lot of planting space. So now grounds either will buy them in, or they propagate some of their own stuff too. But so no, we mostly do our own propagation for the garden and for our sales. Right now, we've got a lot of potato vine and coleus and some succulents. We've got candelabra plants, so euphorbs and stuff going, some cacti. We will seed out probably a lot of our annual flowers and even some perennial flowers in February-ish. And just keep going. We do a lot of wildflower work out there. We've got a little wildflower prairie, so we start some stuff there.
It's a pretty
collect seed, and
it's a pretty unforgiving landscape up there. So you kind of have to be selective of what you can even grow in that the Lubbock up in the Panhandle, because it's just so rough.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure. Yes, you'd be surprised what we get away with.
Okay.
We kind of have an interesting little microclimate there in the garden where, Lubbock is a 7B, but I have things like Texas mountain laurel, which absolutely should not survive. That's 15 years old in the garden. I've got a lot of other things.
Pissed off about it. Mine died. I spent a lot of money on mine, and it died the first year. I was like, oh, and that's something that's hard to propagate. It's not that easy to propagate. I've tried a couple times before it died. Pretty much whenever I buy something, I don't buy it if it's patented or copyrighted, and I buy it because I want to propagate it. That's 90% of the time I do it. So yeah, mountain laurel was a bummer for me. That was a real bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad. They're cool.
They smell like grape soda. The flowers smell like grape soda. It's so cool.
Yeah.
What?
But no, so I do a lot of hands-on work, again, not as much as I used to, but as we get new staff in and stuff, we train them. Something we're proud of, we've got, we're not as big as some other university gardens, and we're not as fancy, but everything that's done in the garden and the greenhouse, pretty much, that's not replacing roof panes and stuff, is done by student workers. So
okay,
that's great.
My staff, whether we're building pergolas and raised beds or propagating or doing irrigation or planting or whatever, we train our staff to do all that.
That's awesome.
And, we figure when they get out of school, even if they can't find a job in whatever else, they can always go work for a landscape company. They could go work for a nursery. And so we try to, our sort of take is that they're students first and employees second. And so we want them learning with everything that they do. And so that's something that we're real proud of, is that all the work that gets done there is done by students.
Oh, well, you're definitely an excellent spokesperson for the the program, you're definitely getting a lot of eyes on gardening and plants and stuff. And so what was it? I commend you for your achievements. And
Well, I appreciate it.
Dr. Baliga. Thank you very much.
Well, and I do need to do some more, and I did a few for a while, but I need to do some more tours and like virtual
love to
tours of
see
the
that.
gardens and stuff.
Yeah.
Phil,
And,
maybe before we go to the fig hunter thing, we both need to fly into Lubbock, and then
I'm already kind of typing in flights here just
Yeah.
to see.
yeah. Well,
Oh, you only have 6,000 square feet. That.
and we could almost fly into Dallas, drive to Wichita Falls to Smith's Garden Town, and then go to Lubbock. It's I looked it up. It's 8 hours to Lubbock, but it's 5 hours to Wichita Falls, and then it's 4 hours for you over to Smith's Garden Town, Vikram.
Holy.
And so
yeah,
Texas is so big.
Oh my God, it's so big. It's so
and that's not even that far. We're kind of Lubbock and Wichita Falls are kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh
Houston to Dallas is 4 hours. It's
yeah. To drive to Destin, it would be an 8 to 9 hour drive, and you can still go probably an hour and a half south, and then all the way to
3 to 4 hours to Mexico probably too. Yeah, something like that.
And just for reference, anyone else listening, it takes me 9 hours from I'm an hour north of Myrtle Beach to get to Pennsylvania to see my parents. It takes 9 hours.
Don't miss Texas, brother.
And then when I lived in Boston, in a 4 hour drive, we'd go from Massachusetts to New York City. So
Yankee.
Here we'll it's funny because I talked to some of my friends, and my dad lives in the Dallas area, and I'll go drive out there on a Friday evening and come back. That doesn't bother me. It's a 5 hour drive.
It's
it doesn't bother me at all.
It's a straight shot though. It's you're just on the shot. Yeah. It's you're not really
crush some awesome plant podcasts and you're good to go.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I looked up some more, or I had some fun Christmas tree facts prepared, and I know we're getting back onto the Christmas tree topic, but I figured y'all would find these very interesting. So this is a website. I'll send y'all the link for this afterwards, but it says it is 34 Christmas fun facts. So here's a couple of them. So Christmas trees used to hang like chandeliers in Poland. In Poland, they used to actually hang them upside down, which is kind of neat. They said that Ukrainians used to decorate their Christmas trees with spider webs. They said that spider webs were good luck, and I think it was saying something about a mother tree, and then she went out the next morning and there were spider webs all over it, and it kind of decorated like that. So that's kind of cool. So Thomas Edison's company were the first people to actually put electric lights on Christmas trees. It wasn't Thomas Edison himself, but it was Edward Johnson who thought to put electric lights on Christmas trees. Before that, it was candles, which was a really bad idea.
It seems like a problem.
Yeah, there's probably a ton of trees that catch on fire every single year. It's got to be unbelievable.
I live next door to a firefighter, and he is very adamant about showing me what a Christmas tree does in a bonfire after Christmas every year. And it goes up in 8 seconds. It's so creepy.
It's crazy.
But yeah. I learned a cool fact about Christmas trees and watering them.
Tell me, dude.
It's healthier for when you first get your tree, it needs a lot of water. It needs to get hydrated, especially if you're chopping off the bottom, right? And so my wife, Grace, found this out, to boil the water first and then bring it in a little bit warmer. It helps that initial sterilization, and warmer water helps it absorb better. And I could be totally wrong, Vikram, but that was the fact, to help it rehydrate faster.
That's interesting. It makes sense. And I think having, like you said, sterile water going into it, and a lot of the additives that they sell, it's just sugar water. Most of the stuff they sell, it's just sugar water.
Even with cut flowers, it's just sugar water. That little packet they give you,
it's just
sugar water.
And you're probably just as well without it in general. Just keep your tree watered, and it should hydrate well enough to last you the 2 or 3 weeks it's up or whatever.
Right. I was always told to put Sprite in your Christmas tree water?
Sugar
I've
water.
heard- It's sugar water, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just sugar water. Yeah.
And carbonic acid.
Don't you be getting scientific on me, man. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So there are about 15,000 Christmas tree farms in the U.S. and over 100,000 people are employed or part-time in the industry. So here you go. So the top states that produce: Oregon, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Washington. So you were in the top.
You got two.
Yeah,
I
you're in
got
the
two
top
of the
five.
top 5.
Yes. Let's see. Let's see. So there are about 350 million real Christmas trees currently growing in Christmas tree farms in the U.S., all planted by farmers. These stats come from the National Christmas Tree Association, who celebrated their 65th anniversary this year. That is a
All right.
real organization.
I appreciate the organization and using them versus like maybe ChatGPT.
Right? Yeah, I need to learn how to do this to come up with better trivia questions. But I also looked into some of like the origins of the Christmas tree, like some of like the history of there's a lot of debate about it with like Christianity and paganism and all this stuff. But
Mhm.
it's I heard a story about was it Pope or Saint Boniface or whatever. He actually observed a Germanic tribe, and they were doing their Saturnalia sacrifice, and they were in front of an oak tree, and I think they were sacrificing a goat or a sheep, and the oak tree represents like the god Thor. And what the uh, saint did is he walked up and took the axe, and he started cutting down the oak tree, and the people were freaking out because they were waiting for like a bolt of lightning to strike down the saint, and it didn't happen. So they were able to convert some of the pagans to go to Christianity, basically. But they also said that Romans and the Romans would put boughs of like pine trees or fir trees up in their cabins and houses to bring in some life during the winter months to like kind of be refreshing and stuff like that. Even the Egyptians, I heard, did that of some extent. So I did a little bit of
I can
history, but I
believe
lost
that.
my link. There's a lot of myths, and if you Google it, there's a lot of weird stuff you'll find about like the origin of Christmas. Like there's some people who that the Catholic Church didn't allow like Christmas trees to be like in the church for like a long time. If you look it up, it's kind of crazy because they thought
Because
was
it
like
doesn't come from Christian origin. It comes from like a pagan origin.
yeah, and Christmas is not the only holiday that is the case, like Easter and stuff like that. Yeah, so
A lot of our winter traditions come from Northern European, Germanic, Norse rituals and Celtic and Druidic rituals. And I actually have an episode of my podcast about Christmas trees.
Humble plug.
That's what we're doing here, right? Like that's our thing.
Tell me more. Let's hear it.
But,
I want to.
Yes.
No, but I mean, it was a lot of the stuff you were talking about, but just how they
you probably sounded a lot more intelligent saying it. Is what you're saying?
No, probably not. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, they would bring in logs and we talk about decking the halls with boughs of holly with the green leaves that stay green for a long time, and the red berries were like signs of life, and mistletoe was viewed similarly in a lot of Norse traditions and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. A funny thing about that episode. So I called that episode "Oh Christmas Tree." Okay. And last Christmas or the year before, starting like mid-November, I saw like a crazy spike in downloads on Spotify. I was like, what is going on? Like, that's specific. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, did it get shared somewhere? And I was talking to a friend about it. He was like, you mean that episode you named after one of the most popular Christmas songs ever written? I
Oh,
was
why
like,
didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of
yeah,
that?
Oh, man, what
I'm
a
dumb.
Well, looks like I'm renaming the title of this video. The Jingle Bell Rock. Yeah, that's the name of this episode.
But it seems like the Christmas tree is another, and including holly, it's like all these pieces of, it's like a huge amalgamation of other rituals that have
Mhm.
worked their way all into like American Christmas culture.
Yeah, they said they also adopted it to the triangle representing the Trinity. You know, so there's a lot of
Thanks, yeah.
very Christian methods or Christian beliefs that got shifted over from pagan beliefs. You know, if you do you have an Easter episode too? You have, Vikram?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember. Probably not.
I love history. When I first got out of high school, I wanted to be a history teacher until I found out being a teacher is scary and hard. But I love history, and so that's very interesting. A lot of those old things are interesting to me. So I'll have to check that episode out. And what is the name of your podcast again, Vikram?
Planthropology. Anthropology with a EL
question
on the front.
Tangential flight. Vikram, you talked today about Gimpy. Is that the plant that
No,
I saw?
Yeah.
I hope I never see in real life.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
if
no,
get,
you don't
oh
want
my
that.
Gosh.
You don't want none of
It's
that.
like the opposite of a Christmas tree.
Okay,
You're
gonna need to elaborate.
If there was like a Halloween tree, it should be that. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a tree that grows in Australia, of course. I mean, of course.
Okay.
And
everything
it has
dangerous
like
is in Australia. Yeah.
everything. Yeah. And I'm a Texan saying that, right? Like,
I ain't scared of nothing, boy.
yeah. It looks fuzzy. Like if you look at it, it looks fuzzy, but it's got these little like hairs on it called trichomes, and they're essentially they're full of
Like
neurotoxins.
burn hazel.
Yeah. So like if you brush up against it, like they get in your skin and break off and inject this neurotoxin. And I've heard it described as like being stung by a bee nonstop for like days or weeks.
Like a bullet ant.
Yeah. But like they stay in your skin and they keep like irritating. So like there's stories of people like getting in a cold shower like 2 years later and like re-inflaming that toxin. And like so bad that people have like, taken their own lives because of the pain. Like apparently the pain is so intense. Animals will go like crazy after like
that's crazy.
brushing up against it and stuff. But there's like a little marsupial that actually like eats the fruit. Even the fruit is covered with these spines, but there's this little marsupial that's like immune to it, and some birds that are immune to it, and they'll eat them and spread the seed and all that.
Is it invasive?
But, I'm sure it is. Yeah, it probably is.
Everything. It's
everything so, angry.
Dude, it's so funny that if you post a video like about a plant specifically, like 9 times out of 10 there will be some Australian saying, "Oh, that's invasive over here. You can't grow that." I'm like, I'm in Texas, dude. This is native here. Like every time you post a lantana, like you say anything about lantana, an Aussie is gonna say something about lantana because lantana is like one of the most invasive things. It's like taking over entire beaches in like Australia. It's just they cannot.
That's interesting.
But
that's really interesting.
They do I mean, they're a penal colony who cannot control their wildlife. They are
overrun with toads.
Have you seen
That's
like?
True?
Yes. They have toad infestations. They have feral cats. They have cats that are like taking out the entire ground nesting bird population. So like if you look at like an Australian hunting magazine, it's like dudes like out there with their hunting rifle and they're like holding up like just regular cats by their tail. Same thing with cows. They call them scrub bulls. They call them scrub bulls. They're cows that have gotten loose, and then they just like pigs. Whenever cows get loose and get back in the wild, they go like native. They start, growing like bigger horns and getting more aggressive.
I believe that. I read I listened to a really cool NPR article. I never forgot it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Science Fridays on NPR. And it talked about, and this goes back to conifers, ancient Greece was covered in an old growth conifer forest. And we don't recognize it as that today, do we? And in that forest, it actually changed the climate. It was nice. It was misty and full of clouds. In there lived a beast. The descend is the what the cow is descended from. And so they were wondering where the domestication of the cow came from. And it came from a forest that doesn't exist anymore because of anthropogenic influences of deforestation. But it went in and lived among these trees, this old forest, but we domesticated the cow from that. And I guess it's very similar to a pig. I guess it can obviously regress into a more primitive state.
Have you ever seen the pictures of like Hogzilla? It's like the guy who shot like this giant hog. It was a domesticated pig that had gotten loose. So there is no genetic difference between a feral hog and a domesticated pig. They're both swinus something. But if a domesticated pig gets loose, within like months, it'll start growing tusks. It'll start getting long black hair. And what that guy had shot on his land was actually a domesticated pig that had been fattened up, got loose, and it started growing hair. And so I think he got the record taken away from him because it wasn't technically a feral hog, but it's wild, man. It's freaking wild. Australia's got to figure their stuff out.
I have a question tying it back to plants. Have you guys had a freeze yet?
No. Have not.
Several, actually.
Been very lucky.
And everything's starting to simmer down. Except for in my garden, I have a ton of kale and brassicas growing that that are unaffected by freezes, and carrots too. But it's things other than that, we're definitely getting into our slumber season with our freezes here.
Yeah. Our first freeze here is actually, I don't remember what the date was this year, but our average is Halloween. It's pretty early here. Yeah. We have a relatively short growing season up in Lubbock. We're April 10th to Halloween. So it's surprisingly cold here, like in the winter.
Well, in those prairie areas, there's nothing really stopping the wind. So like you just get that chill that just goes from Kansas to Oklahoma down. There's nothing stopping the wind chill, and that increases the freeze on your plants even worse.
Well, and we're up pretty high too. We're actually we're 1,000 meters, so about 3,300 feet above sea level.
Oh wow!
Where we are, we're up on top of a big plateau, and so it's like cold in the winter and hot in the summer and windy in the spring, and fall is very nice. We had a great fall this year, but like in general, like we're like it'll go like this past year we were -3 Fahrenheit in February. And then we hit 114 in July. So we have a big range.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Are
crazy.
you relatively dry? Is it like desert almost like New
It's
Mexico,
real dry.
Or?
So we're like semi-arid. So it's a short grass prairie. But we get 19 inches of rain a year.
Got it.
So not desert, but next best thing.
Yeah. No, it's wild. Do y'all have rain collection at the greenhouse? Like, do y'all collect rainwater?
I've got a 2,000 gallon underground cistern that we collect off the greenhouses.
Oh, nice.
Oh, awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know some places won't let you even do that. It's so wild the way that works. I think in my subdivision I could, but I don't plan on being here long enough to even put gutters in the side of this house. But my next house will, because rainwater is just so much better for your plants. I mean, I used to put buckets out and collect rainwater for my plants, and it's just so much better. I mean, I love it. Just drinking it.
And nitrogen infused stuff in the summer. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you see that here every summer. We have like a 4 p.m. thunderstorm that just like kicks up off the ocean. And the next morning you come out and like your grass has grown 2 inches.
It sounds so romantic. It's just
I tell people up here.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I tell people up here like we've got high pH soil and high pH water. Like our average soil pH is like a 7.5. I've seen 8.2. Our water's high calcium too. So I tell people up here, you are watering just to survive till the next rainstorm. Because as soon as it rains, like 1/10 of an inch of rain will green everything up better than like
Yeah.
putting out like 2 or 3 inches of like irrigation
Yeah.
water.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have any figs, Vikram? Because figs do like a more neutral pH soil, and I have
So
acidic
I've
soil, so I have
got
to amend.
I've got a brown turkey and I think a Celeste. They die back to the ground. Up here we don't they don't, but they'll still fruit. They do pretty well. They grow pretty well during the season.
Nice.
So
If you want, I'll send you. I'll definitely. I have a few cuttings that would do well in that harsher climate, like my
yeah, I'd
dad
love it.
does, and I'll send them. I'll send them your way.
Hey, we have a question in the we got a comment in the comment section from
wow, rad.
somebody watching us. There's somebody watching us. So this person says there's a company in the UK that rents trees in soil in pots. The idea is that you can decorate it and after Christmas bring it back. Eventually, they plant the trees. I've seen
cool.
this. And I think even Michael was saying that. I don't know how well this works. I guess they're bringing it in a pot to your house, or you come pick it up and then bring it back every year. I don't know. I wouldn't know how that would work. I mean, especially I guess as long as it stays in a pot, you're good. But it just seems like a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work. I don't know.
Does it cost the same amount as a Christmas tree?
Oh, doubt it. There's no way. There's no freaking way. Oh, dude.
What's the profit margin on that business?
Oh, dude,
But,
that's for people.
It's kind of a cool idea, though.
It's
like,
that's some Prius driving people getting trees like that. Or Nissan Leaf, right, Phil?
Exactly.
Well, they always say like if you love trees, buy lumber. If you love trees, buy paper, because they got that forces them to keep replanting trees. You know, so I mean, it's wild to think about how wooded, North America was. They say like before Columbus got here that you could like go from like the East Coast all the way like to the Mississippi River. Like one squirrel could stay on a tree. Like just go from tree to tree all the way from
not touch the bottom.
The East Coast.
The American chestnut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could talk like a whole episode on that. Like I am all about that. I love that. But honestly, like I think like well-managed forestry, the lumber industry, like absolutely can save the world. Like I think managing that well is it gets a bad rap because it used to be real bad. But now the modern forestry industry, I got to actually interviewed him 2 or 3 times. A forester out in Georgia, and he was talking about the forestry industry and all the stuff they do these days. And if we talk about like carbon capture, man, what's better than building your houses out of wood? You take carbon out of the air and you lock it up in construction. There's something called a cross-laminated timber, where they essentially they're essentially making giant plywood and then cutting it into building materials. Right. And it's got a higher I'm going to get this wrong. It actually provides holds up better in fire than most steel and concrete buildings.
Oh, wow.
It's flexible. It locks up all that carbon. Like we should absolutely be building wood buildings, like 100%.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's great to know.
Yeah, if it just wasn't so expensive, That's,
it is expensive.
Well, I mean, right now, it wasn't like that before, like the pandemic. But before the pandemic, you could go out there and build a raised garden bed out of like 2x4s, 2x6s, whatever, for like $50. You could go do it like that. Now it's almost cheaper to just buy the Vigo bed. It's going to last longer, and it's already got all the pieces. You don't have to go get the screws or anything like that. And it's because this lumber is so expensive, man. It's just it's crazy. So it's wild to think about like the forestry industry and like why everything is so expensive. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely crazy. And I do know that like it's almost like a closed loop cycle with the paper industry where they use a specific type of trees and specific type of forests. So you're not necessarily going out and causing deforestation of other areas too. I think I had a said sedimentology professor who was adamant about like using paper because it recycles itself in those forests. That it kind of similar to maybe a Christmas tree farm would, where you have this little ecosystem, and it goes through a life cycle of cutting those trees and replanting.
I guess the only downfall is probably the biodiversity aspect, because if they go through and they clear cut a forest and take the trees, they're only going to come back and plant the trees probably that made the money.
I guess the only sustainable aspect is a pre-existing tree farm versus creating new tree farms.
Yes, right. I agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I had watched have y'all seen Clarkson's Farm?
Mm-mm.
So y'all have y'all ever seen Top Gear like on BBC America or anything like that?
A long time ago, I watched a few episodes.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Clarkson was like the main host in that show, and he during the pandemic bought like 1,000 acres in England. And you want to talk about regulations and all kinds of like crazy rules and things you can and can't do. Go watch that show, because like he's just trying to open a shop on his farm where people can come buy like peppers and curry and stuff like that. And like there's so much red tape, like light pollution and like noise pollution. Like England is super strict on like what you can do, like on any land. Like it's almost like they don't want you to build anything to mess with nature. Like it's so much to that side. It's wild to see. I would definitely recommend watching Clarkson's Farm. It's very fun to watch. Yeah,
Clarkson's Farm.
Clarkson. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. Sounds fun.
Oh, you'll like it. Well, guys, before we end the stream, I'll let y'all give a shout out to wherever I can find you. And Phil, we'll start it out.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Phil's from Phil's Figs. You can reach me out on all the social media streams. It's Phil's Figs. Keeps it easy. I have a cutting sale going on right now, so reach out if you have any questions on cuttings. I have a guide online, and you can contact me with any questions specific to figs.
Dude, Phil has no mortal enemies. Like, there's no way like anybody could hate him. He's like, hey guys, like everybody who meets you must love you, dude, because like you're just the sweetest dude ever. Like, yeah, I love you, dude.
People do say that, yeah. Like, people talk spirit animals, and I'm very much like probably like a lab mix or a golden retriever.
I would say a labradoodle. You're even.
I'll go with labradoodle.
You're even hypoallergenic. You're a fig loving labradoodle. Love you, dude. Mr. Vikram.
There's an old meme of a lion on stilts chasing a giraffe. I'm that guy. I'm the stilted lion. We've lost the thread somewhere today.
This is supposed to be about Christmas trees.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We're on lions on stilts. I'm the plant prof on pretty much all the places. You can also find my podcast, Planthropology, mainly on Facebook and Instagram and the smoking crater that used to be Twitter. And I'm gonna take a jab at X every time I'm on the show. So just buckle up.
This is Texas. We don't even use Twitter.
No, but yeah. So I'm all over the place as the plant prof, and you can find me and connect.
Yeah, shout out the book again. You can. It's not too late to get your kids this book or get it for a niece, a nephew. Plants versus the, what is it? I don't want to mess it up.
Plants to the rescue.
I almost said Plants versus the World for some reason.
I like that too, actually. Maybe that's book
Put
2
it on the list
in the series.
Put it on the list. Oh my goodness. But you can get it on Amazon or neonsquid.com, I believe. And have it by Christmas to put it in. It looks a little big to fit in the stocking.
It's a little big, but
hey, I followed your illustrator on Instagram, Brian
Lambert.
He does really.
He's
good.
Rad,
dude. I was like, man, if I get a book deal, I'm reaching out to this guy. I was like, I like his work. So, and I am Destin Nowak, the Texas Garden Guy. You can find me everywhere as the Texas Garden, not the Texas Garden Guy, at Texas Garden Guy. I don't have a website, but I got links for everything in my bio, including some of the books we talked about tonight. I'll pick that book up, Phil, and I will get
Okay.
that one. And Vikram, I will add your book to my link as well. So,
Appreciate
and
it.
like I said, we may have another author coming on the podcast soon. But thank you all so much for coming on. We'll be back the same time next week, 6:00. It looks like the stream went really, really well. So we'll do
Heck
this
yeah.
again next week. All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.